I love that I'm going to talk about taking down the patriarchy and feminists.
And I'm like, actually,
the U.S. Postal Service cannot get this right.
Hey,
oh my gosh.
Welcome to Pop Off News.
Pop off. Always popping off on someone or something.
Whoop, whoop. Always. So this is the news for October 8th.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
I know it's global news, pop culture news, but
okay,
the Taylor Swift of it all.
So her new album, Life of the Showgirl, has come out. And I saw one of the ads, but it was her in a long blazer, and she was like, give me more energy, give me more of this, and then it pans to her dressed as a showgirl trying to fake energy and enthusiasm. And I think that was a really funny ad, but also very ironic, because I've heard really negative things about the album, and I'm talking from fans, where fans were just like, this wasn't giving full energy, the Taylor that we're used to. And I will say, in all disclosure, I have listened to her music. I mean, I have a 5-year-old. Shake It Off is played every single day. But I cannot say that I know that she has a very specific sound, that I can hear a song and be like, that's Taylor. But for her actual fans to be like, this one is kind of missing, I think is interesting.
So here's the thing, and this is where I have to be reminded of this, and I'm usually reminded of by people that have no opinion whatsoever, and that is, I've seen the same things, right? I go on TikTok and I see a lot of, I actually have bookmarked on my own TikTok so I can show my friends that like to poke the bear, because full disclosure, I am not a Swiftie. I did love the old school stuff in the early 2010s, just like everybody else did. And then I was a huge fan of 1989 and Reputation. But the whole squad thing really I just felt like it was so out of touch for me, and so unattainable, that I was just not my thing. And then the whole fandom, I think, is what turns me off drastically.
Yeah.
And I have never been, even though I'm a huge fan of, you go in my home, I have Lady Gaga tour posters, and I'm a massive fan. But I will tell you this, I will never take out a loan to go see her in concert or buy limited merch. I will never wait in line overnight. I will never starve myself just for a glimpse of her in a parking lot. With that being said, Swiftie fans I compare them to other groups that we are seeing to have loud microphones right now across the country.
Other fake conservative, but mostly controlling groups.
Yeah. And I think so. And I say all that to say, I remember that morning of the album, good morning. I think it was actually said, good morning to all the Taylor Swift haters. And I'm just this is what I'm talking about. This is why people think you all are insufferable.
They poke the bear, and they are kind of insufferable. So you and I love Beyonce, but we're not if you don't like her, you suck. We're mostly, we like her, we enjoy her, so we talk about her to other people who like her.
Yes. I don't feel a need to defend.
Everybody else is I like Taylor, and so I'm going to shove her down your throat. And it's let her live and exist on her own. The fans actually make it worse.
Yes,
right?
We're not. I don't need to course correct someone who does not like Beyonce at all. That's unfortunate for you, but whatever. So I see the same things you have, and I will say the only thing that I'm not going to lie has upset me. And I was just reading, Rolling Stone reported that Taylor Swift has broken Adele's first week sales record that she had for her album 25, which I loved. Actually, 25 is probably my favorite Adele album.
Yeah,
which was. The record set by Adele was 3.482 million units sold in the first week, and Taylor Swift has surpassed 3.5 million.
And so that I say, does it matter if people don't care for the album if they bought it?
Well, you want to hear? Let me ask you this. No, so the thing I will give Taylor Swift is I think she writes beautiful lyrics. When I say beautiful, I mean artistic, beautiful to her. I think she's a great songwriter. She has not reinvented the wheel in my eyes on anything in terms of pop music or music in general. She has not created a new genre. She hasn't done anything different that nobody has ever done.
Yeah.
Adele is, I think, a powerhouse in terms of her ability to write, as well as her vocals. I'm a huge Adele fan. I've seen Adele in concert. This is one of those where I'm I don't know. I'm trying to rationalize my this is when I start to get irritated. I'm really? I don't think that's deserved. But then I saw an interesting thing. And I don't know how much you know about this stuff because I certainly don't. But what we do know, they said, yeah, you could look at all this, all these units sold, blah blah blah, records here and there. People are buying multiple versions. Like I need like 4 records, so they'll line up at Target to buy 4 at once, and it's like, so how accurate is that number in terms of
that's not
volume?
fans as much as it is sheer units. Yeah,
right. You know what I mean? So like, there's a certain extent where I'm like,
but I mean, I paid for Beyonce's digital download, and then I bought the actual CD to be able to get one of the shirts that only came with it.
Yeah.
So I'm a part of the problem as well.
No, I don't think, but no, you're not. And the reason why is because you're not an insufferable fan. You know, like what we just said. Yeah. That is the main difference. Beyonce's fame, I think she's like a queen in this country, in my eyes. Her lifestyle is very unattainable to me in terms of like, I can't relate to that. Yet, I think there's a lot more, and this is my opinion. I think with her music and her writing, there's a lot more soul that we all collectively could, if we took the time to relate to. I'm assuming that Taylor Swift fans would say the same exact thing. And I just think it's the old song and dance of like breakups and it's all like, again, it's all the same thing to me. So
I wonder if her music has changed now that she's in a committed relationship, because when it's 2025 and there's a lot of political stuff happening, and so my algorithm is showing me a lot of artists and creatives, and it's like when people are oppressed, this is when they really create.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, you'll see somebody go through a breakup and you're like, oh man, here comes the good music.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder if being in a stable, loving relationship made the album change a little bit. Her life is a little bit different right now.
Full disclosure, I'll be at least very honest. I have not listened to it. I have no intention of listening to it. What I have is listened to a lot of creators that review music as like their content. And one thing I do hear, and this is when it gets into the political stuff in terms of, I don't think she aligns with the base of voters that she
she never chose a side. She simply said she didn't care for one side. Did she ever actually say?
Well, she did. Yeah. Well, she did. She endorsed Kamala Harris. She had that whole post, especially after the whole cat lady thing.
Okay.
She had a whole post, I do remember, and she endorsed Joe Biden. She came out, and I point to her documentary. I think it's called Miss Americana. That's on Netflix. You know, she made it a point to use her platform to get more involved in these kind of conversations, into politics in the world. And like her team was like, I don't think you should. She's like, I think she understood the assignment in terms of her superstardom, which that kind of version of her I appreciate. I'm like, I think that if you have a platform like hers, you have a responsibility.
Yeah.
And she has been silent since November 7th. To your point, when you say like someone's in a relationship, how that can change the music. Well, from my understanding, a lot of the themes in there are very centered around a man, and not in a feminist way, but like very trad wifey of like wanting to get married. And there's a lot of those undertones in it. And she's associating herself with very like MAGA people and podcasters. Yeah. And so I will just say, like, this is when you need to start separating, like idolizing folks that are white billionaires, because that's what she is at the end of the day, who has not been using her platform to speak out on the things that are affecting the country that we're seeing every single day. Not a single damn one. And I just think, and I had this conversation with someone recently, like, well, it's escapism. It's this mute. And I'm just like, that would be fair if she was like a Dolly Parton who has made it a point, who said, I tend to stay out of these conversations because that's not what I think my purpose is. And even she has come out and said certain things to be an advocate for, you know, minority groups in our country. Taylor Swift said this all herself. So I'm just holding her accountable by the platform that she's trying to create and where she wants to put her voice. I'm not putting that on her. She did that to herself. And I just think when you have the most powerful platform, honestly, when you are Taylor Swift, you have that power. So I don't know why you're just all of a sudden silent. I just think it's very coincidental, let's say.
Well, I think the silence can be frustrating, but what I think is more frustrating is that I don't believe I could lay in bed with someone who does not believe that I have freedom of choice.
I could not agree more.
To that I say, you know, I was engaged in law school and I broke it off because when you find out things about people, if they don't work, you're able to leave whenever you need to. So either we're learning that she enjoys more of those ideas, or she doesn't. Maybe she personally likes them for herself in her life, but she doesn't want everyone to have them for the country.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, she's in a very, very odd position because she is very, very famous, and her words and her influence are real. Yep. And all we can do is watch and look and see, and the two aren't really aligned.
Yeah. So. I just think, the last thing I'll say on it, because I give her too much energy as it is I will say this to people that listen to her music, especially people in the queer community that are like all my, brothers and sisters and everything in between. You want to be very loud on holding, the rich and powerful accountable, right? You think of the CEOs and the tech billionaires and all that, which is, I stand on that side. I don't love giving people a pass for fill in the blank, because I'm still trying to figure out why she gets the pass. I think a lot of people hear that and go, wah, wah, like Debbie Downer or whatever. And I'm just like, no, I just want to listen to artists that really live and breathe the values that they have stand by. And that's where I'll put my money. So
yeah, I feel it.
Whatever.
So with that, there's really no good segue, but October really 8th is National or International Lesbian Day?
International Lesbian Day, apparently, yes.
So
I love lesbians.
Yes, and we were chatting about this, and the tie-in for media, because this is a media show, is Bari Weiss has been promoted to editor-in-chief of CBS. The two things we'll say about that is I know her from the Bill Maher show, when we used to watch HBO, and I used to follow her on Twitter. Definitely before it changed its name was the last time I was on there. So I believe that she has changed a lot of her ideological leanings since then, but also we looked up what the editor-in-chief of CBS would do, and it's like govern editorial direction, dealing with like the CBS morning show, the Sunday morning show, and then also 60 minutes, which is a really big, like every Friday, my husband and I watch that, like we are 75-year-olds. There will be an impact there. There will definitely be an impact there. A very big role.
Yeah. Well, I know her from her failed attempt to become a co-host of The View.
You love The View.
I'm a huge View fan. I remember I used to watch The View with my grandma when I was a little kid. Aww. And so I love talk shows for that reason, I believe. When I used to go to her house, like whether she was babysitting me or whatever. But The View, for some reason, is a staple memory. Like even to like her final days, I'd be like, did you catch The View today? She loved Whoopi Goldberg.
Wait, isn't one of the co-hosts pregnant on The View?
Alyssa Farrah Griffin, yes.
Congratulations to her. Okay.
I do like her. I feel like she's a reasonable Republican that's really good at having conversations with progressives, liberals, anyone that doesn't necessarily agree with her. She's really good at holding space and having productive conversations. Does she irritate me often? Kind of, but I think most Republicans do. I'm so sorry. She's very smart and intelligent. She's a huge Bravo fan, so I love that about her. And I think she's a great addition to the show. Yeah. But when Meghan McCain left, and they were testing many co-hosts, actually, Bari Weiss was one of them that was a reoccurring. Okay. So I don't know how far she got along in the process. When I see her name, that's what I think of. Yeah. Otherwise, I didn't follow any of her other endeavors. I might have used to follow her also on Twitter.
Yeah. That's a cool media memory, though, that you and your grandma used to watch The View. That's cute.
I've been in the live studio audience once. You can find it on... you can find me in Colby. In the clip, in the opening credits, and you hear me go right before they start the show, they play the music, they sit down, and there's like 0.5 seconds of silence before they get into it, and you hear me go, "I love you, Whoopi." And we were told specifically not to do things like that, and I don't know what came over me. And she goes, "I love you, baby." And it's you can find it on YouTube. I have it saved. And it was after the first debate, the one that he was like stalking her on stage, because her campaign manager was the guest that day.
Wow! Did you know? Did they tell you who the guest is going to be when you like signed up to be on the show? Wow.
Of the actual show. So when I bought tickets, no. Or when you don't buy them, they're free. You just have to sign up for them. And I think it's a week prior you can see the lineup.
Wow.
I was like, well, that's kind of cool. And I forgot who else was on the show that day. Oh, Common. Common was also the guest.
Okay. See, that takes me back to my husband and I went to see The Daily Show with Trevor Noah in New York.
Oh, I would
We
love to do
went on
that.
our honeymoon to New York City, and we were there
Love
for
that.
about 8 days, and we went to Hell's Kitchen to see that. And we brought his book, and we wanted to get it signed, and they're like, he doesn't sign books, don't bring stuff in. And we're like, okay. But it was, that's the only live taping thing I've ever done. It was pretty cool.
Oh, I would have loved to do that. That same trip that we that was the weekend we saw Adele. That was when she released 25.
Okay.
We also saw live with Kelly because she didn't get a permanent co-host yet. She was also testing different co-hosts. So her guest co-host was Josh Groban that day.
Wow.
And I think the guest on that show, if I remember correctly, was Rob Lowe was the big guest. So that was fun. I love Kelly Ripa. So
I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
Okay, so couple other things though. So this one, just because I used to listen to a lot of the music. I was a huge Lil' Kim fan.
Yeah. Huge. Okay.
And so Sean Puff Daddy Combs has been sentenced to 4 years in the trial that he was just in, a lot of sexual misconduct and criminal trial.
Yep.
I was a huge Biggie fan. I had that like CD membership where they would send you like the 18 CDs for a penny, and then you got charged like 7 months later. And my sister used to have the huge binder of CDs, and my mom wouldn't buy me the music, so I would go over there and grab a CD and listen to it. And then I was obsessed with Lil' Kim, probably because I grew up so strictly in church, and I was just like, what is she talking about? What? Oh my gosh, obsessed. And so we're mentioning that because he was a music producer. He also was an artist. And that is a part of media news. It's a pretty big deal now. He's recently asked for a pardon from the current president, which is
unfortunately probable.
I mean, I was born in the 80s. You were born in the 90s. And so there was a decade where he was absolutely massive.
Yeah.
No shade, but I mean, where he, like, music or TV or whatever was him.
He was a mogul. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And so
he had like those iconic like white parties, like in so I mean he, it's one of those things where I'm like, would I have ever said I was like a fan? No, but I knew a lot of his music and his work, and he did like philanthropy work, didn't he? Yeah. Like they were good. And so I just feel like it's an example of like, it's really it's so disgusting. And it actually, when you read a lot of not just the accusations, but like some of the testimonies that were said throughout this whole thing, like I did love Cassie. I remember I used to listen to her music. But are you like a fan of like rap, in particular like female rap?
Absolutely.
So I was watching Watch What Happens Live, and Lotto was one of the guests, and Andy asked her Mount Rushmore female rap artist. I have mine, but I want to know yours.
Ooh, any era? Mount Rushmore, all of them. Okay. Yeah.
And there's 4, right? Mount Rushmore's 4.
Yep. Eve, Lil' Kim, Cardi B, and I would put Nicki Minaj.
Okay. So mine's similar-ish.
I like Glorilla, but she hasn't had enough time. That's tough.
I know.
Top 4? Yeah. Oh, wait. I forgot Trina. I did like rap music, and I like the most ratchetest rap music ever.
It is really tough. So I'll tell you what mine's a combination of past and present. So I said Queen Latifah.
Yes.
Lil' Kim, Nicki Minaj, and Cardi B. So I think Queen Latifah, I think people often, I don't want to say forget, but it's overlooked to a certain extent. And I love Queen Latifah so much.
I couldn't do a Mount Rushmore because I just realized I didn't put Megan Thee Stallion on there.
Well, I was going to say, she's another one. I think maybe in a few years I'd be like, but she has a big cultural impact. I just look at Nicki Minaj has been in the game for quite a while at this point. She solidified herself. Cardi feels like she has for a long time. What's that analogy? She taps the vein of like culture. Yeah. That it feels like we've known her for much longer than we actually probably have. But Nicki Minaj has been here since the late 2000s.
So I don't even think of Queen Latifah as a rapper, just like I kind of forget that about Common. There are so many Queen Latifah movies that I am obsessed with.
I love Queen Latifah, period.
Last Holiday, like Theo and I still might be the only people who watch her in The Equalizer. Like, we love her.
She's an incredible actress.
Oh my gosh, and she's a lesbian too. She's been with her.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, she's been with her partner. Happy International
Lesbian Day. I don't know.
Yes.
Has she ever actually come out and said she's a lesbian?
She has. Yeah, she's been on the red carpet with her partner. Mm-hmm.
I love her so much. Actually, I still love Girls Trip. Have you seen Girls Trip?
Yes.
When I want to laugh hard, there's two movies that I always watch, and that is Bridesmaids and Girls Trip, are two movies that, like, if I just need to watch movies, not think, and just laugh my ass off, it's those two.
That's how I feel about Trading Places. Is one I will put on when I just want to laugh. Old school Eddie Murphy with him and Dan Aykroyd. And then Weekend at Bernie's, where the guy is dead, their boss is dead, and they have to pretend like he's not, and like trench coat and carry him through. If I don't want to think about anything and just laugh, but also if I had to turn on a movie, it would be at least 15 years old. Like, I would play like Closer from 2002. Like, that was my peak movie era. Yeah. So I can't.
It's so funny. Also, The Heat with Melissa McCarthy. Actually, any Melissa McCarthy movie is also, I would say, Tammy. But The Heat with her and Sandra Bullock, I think.
I never seen either of those.
Oh my God. The Heat. I want to look at its like box office. Like, it's one of the funniest, hilarious movies. Tammy, it was not well received. I don't know how. I'm like, it was so funny. And the one that she was with in Kristen Bell, she plays like the evil CEO and loses all her money. It was very Martha Stewart-esque because she goes to jail. And that was hilarious too.
Really weird sense of humor. Like, I like Seinfeld. I'll watch Frasier. I watch a show that you can't be on your phone for, because if you miss the facial expressions, you've missed half the joke. So I watch a show that you get like watching. Yeah. Earlier you were saying something, and what I kept hearing in my mind was, don't ever meet your idols, because then they turn out to not be. But I want to take it a step further, because I don't think it's so much that you meet them and you're disappointed. I think, to what you were saying about Taylor, and then to tie it into this, you see these people and you think you know them, and you think you know what they would be like. And that does not have to be true. And I think we're getting example after example after example of who you might see is not who they are. And
it makes up a good point, because I think that has really taken a life of its own, because we've always had that, right? Like, I mean, you look at anything from like even like Elvis Presley. This is not a new concept, this kind of fandom. These parasocial relationships that people create with these celebrities, artists, whatever their, artistic endeavor is. Not that it's not a new concept. I will say, I feel like social media and influencer culture has exacerbated this whole thing, where these influencers have fan bases and followings because those fans think that you know them. I think the commonality, though, is, influencers typically, like the whole thing is you are showing your life, like, get ready with me to do this, and you see them without makeup or putting their makeup on. I think that has also transitioned into a lot of celebrity culture, where now I feel like the lines are really blurred in some people's minds that don't know how to separate that. You don't know them. You don't know any of these people.
We don't know any of these people. I was looking at a video last night, and someone was like, okay, everyone wants to like demonize content creators and demonize influencers, but like, if you're that friend that someone's like, oh, tell me about a good book, or oh, I need advice on this because you're so good on that, they're like, you're already influencing your friends.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, that's kind of true, because even how people will be like, oh, podcasting is so easy, everyone does it. But is it easy? Or is it just that you don't see it as me working in a factory, so you don't think it's work?
I always tell people, I'm like, anyone could start a podcast. Not everyone can sustain having a podcast. There's a difference. You can buy a $20 mic off Amazon, sign up for a free trial on any podcast platform, and record. Your quality might be good. The quality of the overall editing might not be good, but you can do it, sure. But can you actually build a sustainable and successful platform? That's the thing not everyone can just do. When you look at influencer culture and content creators, I actually put those in two different buckets, because I'm like, I like content creators, because content creators to me are more like specialists in something, whether it's coffee content or fashion content or comedy skits or whatever it might be. I'm not a huge watcher of, well, I am, but not, and I'm mad at myself that I get sucked into it. Of people just doing the most mundane things.
I just
I guess
posted a day in the life, Aaron's edition, and it's me running to the post office,
and I
packaging
probably would
stuff for
watch because there
Poshmark.
is something like, and maybe it's because I'm sure there's like some psychologists. Maybe we can invite one on that can help dissect this. I'm sure there is something that people like me and my brain, it breaks down maybe something. Maybe it is just escapism of my own life and watching someone else do mundane things.
But it's mundane in the most well lit space ever.
Yes. Highly, usually at least, right? Unless it's,
you and I talk about being woo woo a little bit, and so I say things like, in this timeline I won, I've been 27 different people, and like I always wonder if I was allowed to listen to that music, who I would have been. Because even Theo has like old YouTube videos of him doing poetry because he used to rap. So I'm like, we could have been very different.
I didn't know
been very different people. Yeah.
How interesting.
I know, and now we're like the biggest nerds, engineers, and like lawyers. So
he is kind of soft spoken in a way. I can kind of see.
Life is very, very fascinating. Very, very.
We all have a story that is worth telling. That's what I mean, and it's almost like, not to get all like deep. Well, I can't
overanalyze it.
I can't help it. We all have a story that's worth telling, but I mean, you'll find like when you start talking to people, you learn that they have such a colorful past, whatever that might mean.
You do.
And it's all worth telling, and I just think that's so interesting. And when I open a coffee shop one day, I always imagine when my coffee shop, because it will happen, manifest it. I imagine like brick and not dark lights, but like dimmer. I don't want bright like California aesthetic.
Yeah.
Or, these white walls and the light woods. Like, I want more of a traditional coffee house feel and have like a corner for like book readings and poetry readings, and so he can write poetry and do it at my coffee shop. Well, okay, here's a segue then. That was on my list. It has to do with TV. That I feel like you might actually like the show, but it is the 25-year anniversary of Gilmore Girls.
I've seen one episode. I think I tried to start from the beginning, and it was just so like, 1997, and I was just like,
I think it was like 2000.
Well, was it supposed to be recorded in 2000, or was it supposed to be like older?
Yeah, no. I think so. Here's
Maybe
the thing:
I was in college when it came out.
It was Gilmore Girls is feel good for one. I think the stories are actually complex, and I love the lore that's behind. Basically, it's about you have Lorelai, who's the mom, and Rory, who's her daughter, whose actual real name is Lorelai. And you learn in the very first episode of the whole series that she meets this guy who's like new to their town, and he asks, "What's your name?" He's like, "Rory." She's like, "Well, it's actually Lorelai. My mom named me after her because she had an ultra feminist moment because she didn't understand why only guys are named after their father figures and not women." And that is kind of true when you think about it. It's like, yeah, and it's kind of true. I never really thought about it, and I was like, when I first heard that scene, I'm like, we always promote like how many, like my brother is named after my dad is named after his dad, my grandfather's named after his dad, so that's like a normal, like, and we celebrate it like we're gonna name, but we don't we don't celebrate it in a way when you name a daughter after the mom or it's usually like the middle name.
Well,
it is true
who's named after my dad, and it was a nightmare with their mail. Because they had a middle initial that was different. It was a nightmare when they had.
I love that. I'm going to talk about like taking down the patriarchy and feminists.
And I'm like, actually,
the U.S. Postal Service cannot get this right. But I think it's a complex story because Lorelai had Rory when she was a teenager. Lorelai grew up in a very rich society home in Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah.
So wait. Who was Lorelai? Lorelai was the mom.
Yes, that's played by Lauren Graham.
And she named her daughter Lorelai, but they call her Rory?
Yeah, that was like became her nickname. I don't know if they ever said the story of how that became. I'm sure it might be somewhere, but it's Rory Gilmore.
I worked with someone who named her daughter Rory, and she said it was because of the Gilmore Girls. But I always thought the girl was named Rory. That's interesting. So it was Lorelai, but they just called her Rory.
Yeah, so her like government name was Lorelai Gilmore. But her name in her name from the very beginning is Rory. They call her Rory.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that.
So it's a very interesting story. This of really of a mother and daughter relationship, because they're very close in age. Lorelai had, she left her home and she had her baby at 16. Left her home because her parents
Mm.
didn't, and then so she built her own life in this small town called Stars Hollow. And basically the beginning of the series starts with Rory is very smart. She's extremely intelligent. Leaves her little small town high school to go to this very, prestigious preparatory private school that Lorelai actually went to. But in order to afford it, Lorelai has to basically grovel to her parents. And that also becomes a theme of the show, borrowing money. Because the deal
Wow.
goes, okay, we'll loan you the money, but we have to have Friday night dinner. So that becomes a whole big part of the whole show is the Friday night dinners. But like when Rory graduated, the school that she went to is called Chilton. So she graduates Chilton and then is going to go to Yale. And what happens? They have to help borrow money again. And now it's like, okay, we're going to do Friday night dinners, blah, blah, blah again. And I remember the series finale, Rory ends up going. This is actually really interesting. Rory, she wants her dream is to be a journalist. And she finally gets a job offer for this like online magazine to work on the first Obama presidential campaign as a journalist, which I thought was so fun. I'm like, oh my God, that's talk about a time capsule. And so Lorelai at the very series finale, the mom was Lorelai, the adult, her mother, which her name is Emily, was trying to talk her into like expanding her business, which she owns an inn. And finally, she was at the very last one of the last scenes with them. It's, mom, I thought about like your offer of like she's gonna lend her money to like build a tennis court or something. And it's just cute because she goes, okay, fine. And in the terms of that agreement of lending that money, another round of money, it's to continue Friday night dinners. So it becomes like a beautiful thing throughout the series of like just building relationships. And they did a whole not spin-off, but they did the Gilmore Girls A Year in the Life where they did a limited series. When you really look at it, it has a lot of complexities to it that are very relatable to this day. Because I guess a bunch of
Yeah.
young people are rediscovering the show for the first time.
They are. I saw on TikTok this lady was sitting with her daughter watching TV, and she's like, when you get into the Gilmore Girls and you realize the character looks familiar, and they look up and their dad was the heartthrob in the show.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
she's like, Dad, why are you on TV? And I was like, oh, that's so cute. But I will say, I just rewatched Scandal because I didn't watch it when it came on live, and she has Sunday night dinners with her dad, and it's a big deal. So there's all these little things that I feel like have been borrowed from that show, with it being their 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
But like, I think I probably didn't get into the show because I was a Dawson's Creek, of course. Do you remember Felicity? Did you ever watch that on the CW? Mm-hmm. So I think I just was watching shows as people were already in college, whereas this was someone in high school, and I probably just missed it. Like,
and you might actually like it because I feel like those kind of fans watched Gilmore Girls too. But one of the things I find interesting about Gilmore Girls, and they made a joke about this at the Emmys when they presented together, is they had like no money for the majority of the show, and I think that's the funniest part about it. But
I'll probably try to watch it. I think
it goes with that theme of it's just mindless. It's when I say mindless, I don't mean that in a negative way towards the show. I think people resonate with it also. I think maybe now because everything is so dark in the world, that there's a comfort to watching it. It's a very like comfort TV of like I can't wait to when it's winter and I'll like get a bowl of soup and like be on the couch with a blanket and put on Gilmore Girl. Like it's very comforting in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Too. I'll have to check it out, especially to be, that's cute. And didn't Lauren Graham just get like her Hollywood star or something?
She did. She got her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Amy Sherman Palladino, who wrote and executive produced and directed Gilmore Girls, spoke, which she's has done a lot of shows like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but she spoke Lorelai on the show. Her TV mom was there, Kelly Bishop, who plays Emily Gilmore. Her love interest / the guy that owns a diner, Luke, was there.
What do you have to do to get a star? Is it just voting?
I actually watched a whole video about this, and I'm going to butcher it because you actually have to pay for it and pay for the maintenance of it. So
okay.
I think there's a committee. I actually watched this guy on TikTok that does all these like deep dives on like old Hollywood, and he did one about the creation, so to speak, of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I believe it started in the 60s. I want to say, don't quote me on that. I have to look it up. but there's like an association, like a board, and I think there is some sort of relationship. I can't remember if you have to like submit your name and to be considered, but basically, I believe a board just decides like who's who's made an impact in the different arts. So it's like television arts, movies, journalism. There might be another one. I thought they might consider incorporating like social
Okay.
networking, or I think I could be wrong on that. Um,
Wow.
but if you were awarded a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, you pay for it, 'cause you have to pay for the maintenance of it. So some people didn't. Some people have rejected it because they can't afford it essentially, and it costs
Yeah.
like kind of a lot of money. And like I just Googled right now how to get a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which is very interesting, by the way. It costs $85,000, by the way. Um,
I'm sure it
uh,
does. To the maintenance of it. Yeah. Well, I think that is very, very interesting, especially because we were talking about influencers and influence,
mhm.
and our show has 59 downloads with 7 episodes. So, like,
I love that. I hate odd numbers though, so can we please make it 60?
we can say it's 60, absolutely. So, I think it's
No, I meant like
interesting.
everyone. Like if you're listening to this, make sure to like tell all your friends because I don't like
Yes, so
odd.
that we can get out of the odd numbers. Absolutely.
Yes.
But I think so. Well, actually, in the trailer, you and I talk about how we both are existing podcasters and we're creating this because we believe we have really interesting conversations. And we think it'll be fascinating to just discuss media and let you guys in because we've been doing this for over 2 years. We were sitting next to each other at work doing this. And now we do it in your beautiful apartment. And now we're even doing it virtually, which is the first time. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube.
Do you
And so
remember? I don't think it really matters anymore since we both don't work for that company. But when we used to go in like meeting room, we book meeting rooms to work, and I remember there's so many conversations I'd be like typing, and I'm like, so I want to do this podcast. And I just remember we'd actually like talk about it.
yeah, we would. You were
Like a
like, I
lot.
think we should do this. And we're like, what are we going to talk about? We're like, this life bullshit. And we would just laugh. I mean, one of the highest compliments anyone could give us, or at least give me, is like, the show is about so much more than the TV or the music or the movie that we review. It's mostly like our introspective conversations because
Mhm.
like overthinking has a negative connotation and then analyzing kind of does, but like overanalyzing is just silly because that's just us. Like we tie
Mhm.
everything back to TV, music, media,
Mhm.
podcasts, books.
And this is why we have such synergy, not to use a corporate word. Here's a testament to this whole episode where I said earlier, like we always find a way to weave everything back. And it's not, I have no notes in front of me. Everything that we say, it's so natural because it all weaves in. We're talking about certain celebrities, International Lesbian Day, and then not planned, talking about Queen Latifah, which was not planned. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, hold it. So it's all like intersected this naturally. And I
Yeah.
think, we're meant to be doing this.
We always sit down and say, oh my God, there's no topics. And then we talk for 53 minutes.
I know. We do.
So,
And I think also like what we do, like with these TV shows and film and whatever it is that celebrity culture, influencer culture. I mean, there's a lot to dissect there.
in 2025, where people are saying people don't think at all they do is watch their screens, all they do is
Yeah.
this. We actually do think a lot and we actually do consider how does this apply to my life, or
Yeah.
hey, like somebody is going to be listening to this and be like, wait, somebody does a deep dive on old Hollywood, I would love to see that. Or I
Yeah.
have notes here to go watch The Heat and to watch Tammy. I've never heard of those before, right? So like, it's brilliant.
It is.
It.
And I think, I mean, maybe you agree. I don't know. We're in a very awkward time socially, I think, around the world, actually. I'm not going to say our country. I blame that personally on social media. I watch all these like AI generated videos. They're like emotional and sad. It's like these like kids from, let's say, like 1996. And it's like these two kids saying, hey, where have you been? How was 2025? Welcome back to 1996. One of the things that they said is, yeah, I heard that in 2025, all you guys do is look at your screens and don't talk to each other. Like, and they connect it back to something that like we're used to just going outside until the street lights came on. I heard that you guys, and it really hits close to home oftentimes when I watch these videos. And I think we're in such an awkward time where it's like we are craving connection. We know the antidote to the problem, right? And that is get off your phone and look at each other and have a conversation and get outside, go for a walk, go to the mall, be connected in physical spaces. Yet we still have a hard time doing that. And I think that's where, like, I think overanalyzing and overthinking can be helpful because it allows you to step outside of maybe your normal routine of thinking. And I think that's kind of where that goes to. Like I said, if you have a boundary, of course,
Yeah.
you're just going to drive yourself insane. But I think over analyzing these TV shows and and what's going on in the world, in terms of pop culture, I think people want to hear more of those conversations because it's not just getting used to the day-to-day things that pop on our, FYPs. It's we're analyzing it in a much more deeper way of, like, to what you said, how does it affect our lives? What does it trigger something in me emotionally? And I think ultimately all those things are connected to create, I don't know, more connection with one another instead of just going, did you see what she wore last night? How do you feel about that? Like,
you always bring everything down back to friendship. And I think someone's listening and they're just like, damn, I miss my friend. Or I want a friend like that. So I'm
yeah.
glad I have Dom and Kyla to sit
Hmm.
here and be like, wow, friendships do still exist. Even because I've been married 6 years and that was the last time I was in a club when we went out after the wedding and everyone was kind of standing around on their phone. And I was like,
Yeah, I've
oh,
heard
this
that
is
too.
different than when I went clubbing when I was in college and everybody was dancing. Like maybe you would get picked with for being standing on the wall, but people weren't just like this the whole time. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh,
Well, I think part of that too
weird.
is because everyone is also if they're not on their phone looking at something, they're at the club waiting for the right moment to get the right picture, or they're just there filming. Like, we get it. You were there with your friends and you're wearing a cute outfit, or maybe lack thereof, let's say, like, depending on what club you're going to, and you're trying. It's always like trying to prove something to someone, even though those people will, like, not, they'll never admit it. But it's like, well, then ask yourself, well, why did you feel like you needed to post that? And I guess my bigger point, it's instead of being there, and it's so corny, but and this is when I feel like I'm getting old. It's instead of being in the present moment and dancing to the good music, you're so concerned about either looking at something or capturing the thing rather than
Yeah.
being in the moment doing the actual thing you're there to do. And I just think it's so sad because we've lost a lot of touch with that. And
My little way of breaking out of that is when I pick my daughter up. So
mm,
every Wednesday, you and I record, and I was running down the stairs to go pick her up, and I intentionally, for like the 3 to 5 minutes that I wait for them to bring the kids out, I stand there and I don't pull out my phone
I love
because I'm
that.
like, the one thing I have to do is pick her up. No one's gonna call me and be like, "Oh, she's not coming out this door." I'm
Yeah.
like, nobody's looking for me. There's nothing that will get me to leave from here to pick her up, and
Yeah.
it's pretty boring, but I don't think being bored is a bad thing. And so
No.
I stare at the sun. You try not to make too much eye contact with the other parents because they're like, "What are you looking?" You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
you just stand there and you breathe and you just say, "Wow." Well, actually, today I was pretty like high on my coffee because I had a black coffee at 2 p.m. and so I was kind of like wired. But I'm just standing there like, "Oh my god, today is amazing. I feel so good. Oh my goodness, I am so hyped up on caffeine." And you just
Hmm.
have 3 to 5 minutes to just like reflect on like my little munchkin's about to come out and then I'm gonna have a
Mm,
whole whatever she wants to get into and do.
yeah.
And it's like, take a break from the phone. You're always around it. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not
Oh,
gone. It hasn't gone anywhere.
it's so cute that you do that. But I will say, you said something that I think is so important, and that is it's okay to be bored sometimes. And I remember there was a guy, an ex-boyfriend of mine, and I feel like always feel like they have to be doing something. I remember he would always, it was always a project or this or that. And I remember saying one day, I was like, just sit on the couch, watch TV, and do nothing. You don't always have to be doing something. And I remember I had a friend that was like that. It was always like she needed to be with someone doing something. And I'm like, I used to be like that because I used to suffer from a really bad FOMO, like really bad. It was really depressing. And now there's nothing more that I love being at home and being on my couch and putting on TV. Maybe it is scrolling through my phone of something thoughtless though, where I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Petting my dog, being, to your point, having those quote unquote boredom moments of, like, you don't have to be actively doing something. You could just be sitting and existing and
Yeah.
taking a break from just everything. You don't always have to be on. And so if there's anything you get from this, y'all,
Yeah.
have go be boring.
Go be boring. Absolutely. All right, Dom, this was fantastic.
It
And you guys got to
was.
see a little bit of a different side of us if you're watching on YouTube. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for your attention. We definitely
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thank you for listening to our gabbing.
Yes, this was Pop Off Media for
Pop
October 8th.
off.
All right, talk to y'all later.
Bye, guys. Good morning to all the Swiftie haters. Oh, Lord. Hold on. You know, every Friday when I record, I change the time to her theater.
Oh.
Can you hear it? Is it like
Yeah,
the most
I thought she was dragging something across the floor. That's the food hitting the theater.
Yeah.
That's funny.